the tourism business, like a travel agent, I'd have done it, because all of a sudden we had, and it's also through our marketing that we had international visitors with people all over Africa coming, and from our research they were staying up to 7 days. So they'll stay the 3 days of the festival, and then they'll travel the wine route, and it really established Cape Town as a jazz destination, the home of jazz. And I think that's why the International Jazz, they chose Cape Town as a location. It's based, they quote the Cape Town Jazz Festival.
Right.
But I think that, once you start working with authorities, being the city, the province, initially it was, who is he, and can they pull it off? Because we're talking big budget,
Yes,
then my budget was like 2000 was 3.5 million rand, which was a lot of money.
Yes.
But when they started seeing the results, of course you have to prove yourself. They've been amazing. The city, whichever administration comes in, doesn't matter. It's the purpose of creating Cape Town as a jazz destination. It worked. We looked at the economic impacts of people staying in hotels. You couldn't get hotels, bed and breakfast. It just worked it was a win-win.
Do you have any idea how many people come to the Jazz Festival, or is it sort of impossible to say?
Well, no. We always knew, because, for the purpose of safety and security, you have to work out the square meterage, which you clear with the city officials, the safety and security. And the Good Hope Center over 2 days can take 37,000 people.
Oh, okay.
And during my time, we were, for almost 6 years, up till 2014, we were sold out.
You say during your time, and of course, I don't know whether to say sadly or not, but you're not involved anymore really in the way that you were. Why did you decide to step back?
Well, 15 years later, which is 2014, it was a great life of rock and roll. It works on the body and the mind. My parents were also ill. My mother was bedridden, my father had dementia, and I also decided to spend a bit more time with them. In fact, she told me, you should be moving on. And I made the decision, it's time to hand over. The company was doing very well. The Jazz Festival was well established. And I could walk away then,
and feel rather proud. I'm
and
sure.
a competent team taking over.
Team, yeah. And now, what is your involvement now, if anything, with the Jazz Festival?
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Yeah. I was a shareholder up till 2017. I sold my shares 2017 just to start, because other things come up.
I'm sure.
I'm very much into sharing knowledge.
Right.
It's critical in terms of what you've learned in 3 years. Younger people can do it in a year or less.
It's amazing, isn't it, these days?
That's very part of what I'm doing now.
Before we start talking about that and your photography, I just want to talk. At the beginning, I made a joke from a quote saying, you probably couldn't play an instrument to save your life, yet your name is as well known as any of our best musicians. Where did your love of jazz begin, your love of music? How did that begin?
Well, what I do know, in my next life, I'm going to be a saxophonist. So we'll wait and see.
Okay. But does that... Okay, so you don't play the saxophone at the moment, but where did the love come from?
Well, I born in Port Elizabeth. I had two uncles, Uncle Ibi and Uncle Go, and they always played music. And coming from a very sort of traditional Muslim background, it had to be the back room, So that's the first time I heard Danny Williams. I listened to Make My Mojo Coming, Jimmy Smith. So I listened to all that kind of music, and I think it just grew with me. And during my youth, I was always into the pop and the rock and rolls, and
It's amazing you didn't pick up an instrument and because you had clearly quite a passion.
At one stage I did. I got married very young. I was 21, so I had a home. So the likes of Russell Herman, Robbie Jansen, Carter Khan, they always hung out at my house. I always in the spare room. and they tried to get me to play saxophone and flute. So I played around with it, but somehow it never got to me. I was always an entrepreneur. I wanted to do something because having kids, I need to work.
Exactly.
You know, these guys are not working. They're like hanging out in my room all day.
Was that in Port Elizabeth?
No, this in Cape
now
Town.
you had moved to Cape Town.
Yeah.
Why did you come to Cape Town? Did the whole family move to Cape Town?
Well, it was 1959, 60. The whole group here is ACT.
Yes.
So it was South End, North End, Sidwell, where my family was sort of linked to. And that when that was declared, they decided to move up. My father had a good friend in Cape Town, and that's how we decided to move. So I done my latest primary school here and my high school.
In Cape Town?
In Cape Town, yeah.
But now I'm interested that with all this love of music, you began to train as an architectural draftsman, which in a funny sort of way is almost related to photography, isn't it? Or why did you decide to do that?
Well, you know, I
know you said you had to make money.
Story of my life, yes. Well, I always worked, you know. I loved working because I loved shoes. I loved clothes or having some money on me. But I was at Witwatersrand High. By the time we came to Standard 9, you know, we were always influenced by the matriculants, you know, and the slogans started going around liberation before education. And I had few friends at UCT, and you know, I just decided, no, I'm not tired. I'm going to quit school. But later on, I had to realize a bit of a mistake. And then I went back to Penn, to technical school in Athlone, and got equivalent to matric. And then I went to do architectural drafting because I love drawing. It was the only thing I thought, you know, that would appease me. And then my first job was with Best Director first, and then Marion Roberts.
Gosh, okay. Now listen, Rashid, we're going to take another music break. I'm intrigued to know what you're going to choose as your second choice.
Well, the other person who's very important in my life is the late Winston Mankunku Ngozi, and a fabulous song, Yakal Nkomo. But he was very influential in terms of introducing me to the likes of John Coltrane, Miles Davis, you know, and we became very close and became friends and hung out. He was in Langa. I was living in Athlone, so it was quite near each other. And Athlone was the Beverly Lounge was then the multiracial jazz scene where we all accumulated. So, you know, he's been influential, but he's just a great artist that has become well known.